Grandma, all my mates have phones. I am tired of being laughed at.
My child, I have no money. But
I hate you, Grandma!
Chidinma.
In the dusty village of Umocha, where red earth clung stubbornly to bare feet, and the wind whispered secrets through broken rooftops, lived an old woman called Neka and her granddaughter, Chidinma. Chidinma's parents had died when she was still learning to call their names. Death came quietly one night and never returned what it took. From that day, Neka wrapped her crooked back around the child like a shield. She hawked firewood under the burning sun, washed clothes for strangers, and begged the soil to yield crops that often refused. Every coin she earned was for Chidinma. Their house stood at the edge of the village, tired and cracked like Neka's hands. There was no light inside, only a smoky lantern that flickered like it might give up at any moment. Yet, to Neka, it was a palace, because her granddaughter slept under its roof. But when Chidinma turned 13, her eyes began to wander. She saw girls her age holding shiny phones, laughing into glowing screens. She saw fine clothes and clean shoes, and slowly, dissatisfaction crept into her heart like a snake. "Grandma," she said one evening, folding her arms, "all my mates have phones. I am tired of being laughed at." Neka swallowed hard. "My child, I have no money, but be patient, I will find a way." Patience was no longer Chidinma's friend. She shouted, she cried, she ran out of the house, her tears mixing with the dust. Neka followed with her bent back and aching legs, calling her name until her voice broke. That night, guilt pressed heavily on the old woman's chest. And so, before dawn, Neka made a painful decision. She took out her precious jewelry, the last gift her husband gave her before he died. With trembling hands, she sold them. When she returned, she placed a phone into Chidinma's hands. Chidinma smiled. But the smile did not last. Soon, shame replaced gratitude. She hated walking beside an old woman whose back was bent like a question mark. When they went to the market, Chidinma walked far ahead, pretending not to know Neka. At home, she refused to cook or fetch water. Neka did everything, because love to her had no limit. One afternoon, Chidinma went out to buy gari so they could drink and survive the day. On her way, she passed a restaurant. Inside, a family laughed as plates of fried rice and chicken were placed before them. The smell followed her like mockery. When she got home, Chidinma said coldly, "I want fried rice and chicken." Neka sighed. "My child, I don't have the money, but when I do, I will buy it for you." Anger exploded. Chidinma ran into the rain, crying loudly. Thunder cracked the sky as if the ancestors themselves were angry. Neka chased her, slipping in the mud, begging her to stop. They returned home soaked, but rage blinded Chidinma. She locked the door. "Open it," Neka pleaded weakly. "The rain is too much." The door stayed shut. That night, Neka slept outside on the cold ground. By morning, her body had surrendered. Fever shook her fragile frame. Fear finally opened Chidinma's eyes. She tried to cook, but didn't know how. She searched the house for money to buy medicine and stumbled upon an old wooden box hidden under the bed. On it were the words, "For my beloved granddaughter." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was money and a note. "I will always make my granddaughter happy, no matter the cost." Chidinma collapsed to her knees. "So this old woman loves me like this," she cried. Tears washed away her pride. She rushed to buy medicine, nursed Neka day and night, and prayed like she had never prayed before. When Neka recovered, Chidinma made a bold choice. She used the money to start selling drinks on the street under the hot sun. People laughed. Others mocked her, but she stood firm. One evening, Nneka asked softly, "Why did you use the money meant for your school?" Chidinma smiled through tears. "Grandma, school will wait. You cannot. I will take care of you now. I am sorry for everything." Nneka pulled her into her arms, and the cracked house echoed with quiet sobs. From that day, Chidinma changed. The days that followed were not easy. Chidinma walked before the sun when the village was still wrapped in silence and mist. She balanced a tray of drinks on her head and walked from street to street, her feet blistered, her neck aching. Sometimes the rain chased her, other times hunger mocked her, but she did not stop. Each step felt like repayment. Some villagers whispered when they saw her, "Is that not the proud girl who once locked her grandmother outside? See how life has turned her into a hawker." Their words cut deep, but Chidinma accepted them. Shame, she learned, was a teacher. One afternoon, as she stood by the roadside, a speeding motorcycle swerved towards her. The tray slipped from her head. Bottles shattered. She fell hard to the ground. Blood stained her knees. People gathered. "Get up," someone said impatiently. "Who will pay for the broken drinks?" another shouted. Chidinma struggled to stand, dizzy and afraid. In that moment, she felt a familiar weakness, the urge to cry and run. But then she remembered her grandmother lying helpless on a mat, coughing through the night. She stood up. With trembling hands, she cleaned the blood, gathered what remained, and continued selling until evening. When she got home, Nneka saw her wounds and wept. "My child, I am sorry. I should not have allowed you to suffer like this." Chidinma knelt and held her wrinkled hands. "Grandma, this suffering is teaching me what comfort once hid from me." That night, the rain returned, heavy and violent. Thunder shook the sky. Suddenly, the old cracked wall of their house groaned. Then it fell. Dust filled the room. The roof caved in. Chidinma dragged Nneka outside just in time. Neighbors rushed out with lanterns. "Your house is finished," someone cried. They stood in the rain, homeless. For a moment, Chidinma's heart sank. Had all her effort been useless? Then an old woman from the crowd spoke. "This grandmother once helped my daughter during childbirth. They will stay with me." Another voice followed. "I will bring food tomorrow." Kindness rose where hardship fell. Days later, word of Chidinma's dedication spread through the village. A trader who often bought her drinks watched her closely. "You are different," he said one morning. "I will give you drinks on credit. Pay me later." Her small business grew. Weeks turned into months. Nneka's strength slowly returned. Chidinma rebuilt their home, stronger this time, with help from neighbors she once ignored. One evening, as the sun melted into the earth, a school teacher visited. "This girl deserves to return to school," he said. "Her discipline speaks louder than her past." Chidinma looked at her grandmother. Nneka nodded, tears shining in her eyes. That night, Chidinma knelt again, but this time not in regret, in gratitude. And the elders of Umocha still warn children with this tale. Do not despise the pot that cooked your food when you were hungry, for when the storm comes, it may be the only shelter you have.
If you felt every word of this story, then stay with me, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so when the next story is born, you will be right here to experience it from the very first line.